So here we are, it's a Saturday afternoon, and I'm checking out some scores on Yahoo for fantasy football, and I suddenly realized it's Saturday, so there's not a lot going on in the NFL, but the NCAA has got tons going on, all these games. So I thought, hey, I'll check on TCU. So I zoomed in and I found this scoreboard, and I thought, well, it breaks it down for me. It tells me, 10 points were scored here, 3 there, and so on. And the 23-17. But I was wondering, is there some way that I could figure out how many touchdowns were scored or how many field goals that is? What do you think? Is there something we can do? Okay, so I've got my scoreboard here, and I know that points are scored in football by touchdowns, field goals, and extra points. 6 for a touchdown, 3 for a field goal, and 1 for an extra point. And we know that TCU scored 10 points in the first quarter. So if I can just abbreviate here, if that'd be all right, and let T stand for touchdown, F stand for field goal, and E stand for the extra point, then in summary, this 10 points is equal to 6 points a touchdown, plus 3 points a field goal, plus 1 for each extra point. And that would make up the 10 points. Okay, now my only problem is, how do you solve an equation? Okay, so solving equations occurs in 6 steps or so. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do when you're looking at solving an equation is I want you to look at each side of the equation and look and see if you have any fractions. If you have any fractions, then I want you to clear the denominator. That means you're going to multiply every term in the equation by the common denominator. Once you've done that, then I want you to apply the distributive property. So you're looking to see if you have any parentheses with a term in front of the parentheses, and then if that's the case, then you distribute that term and you'll have applied the distributive property. But when you get here to combine like terms, that's going to be at one side of the equation at a time. So we'll look at the left side and combine like terms, and then we'll look at the right side and combine like terms. These 3 steps are called the simplifying steps because this is really just cleaning up the problem. So I usually take and I indicate to myself, these are my simplify steps. So just kind of draw a little bracket there and say simplify. I'm trying to make each side of the equation as simple as possible. All right, so after I simplify, then I'm actually beginning the solving process. First thing I want to do is I want to get all my variables on one side of the equation. So I move them by taking the inverse operation. As you recall, the inverse operations, addition is the inverse of subtraction, multiplication is the inverse of division. So this is to move all the variable terms to one side. You can choose the left side or the right side, but all your variable terms need to be on one side. After you do that, then you'll have some constant terms. When you have constant terms, they need to go to the other side. So if you went left with the variables, you're going to go right with the constants. And you'll also move them by taking the inverse operation. And then finally, you're going to be left with a coefficient and a variable on one side and a constant on the other. At this point, you want to divide by that coefficient, and then you'll have your final answer, which is the value of your variable, which is the whole point in solving anyway. Look forward to seeing you in class. Make sure you bring your notes.